Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of Seabed. So, let's jump right back in. Didn't you think that there might be something weird reflected in that mirror? Or that it led to some other dimension and you wouldn't be able to return? That's a popular story about mirrors, yes. Hey, don't just brush it off like that! The whole thing traumatized me for life! I'm not sure I can help you with that one. The grandfather clock in the lobby struck the hour. It stopped after 11 beats. It's late. We should go to sleep. Good night. Good night. I stole a glance of Mayuko's face before closing my eyes. I then continued thinking about things in the darkness of my closed eyelids. It was a bad habit that would occasionally interfere with my sleep schedule. I wiggled out of my futon and got into Mayuko's. What are you doing? I got too scared to sleep. Is that so? Mayuko let out a sigh. Just look at it, Sachi! Don't you think it's great? I looked back over my shoulder while ascending the stairs. There was a small garden surrounded by 4 walls outside the window. It had some flower beds and a square hole in the middle that looked like a well. How do you even enter that? Sachiko asked. I think I can see doors on that wall. It looks quite tranquil. I like it. How many of the rooms are occupied? Most of them are, I think. There's a handicraft shop on the first floor, a tax accountant's office below us, and a law firm up above. We reached our destination. I opened the door and let Sachiko go inside. I followed her and closed the door behind me. What do you think? Sachiko carefully surveyed the room. We could put the employee desks here, and you can have a private desk there by the window since you're the boss and everything. Sachiko walked to the window and looked outside. It's too bright here. Too much reflection to read papers. And it feels kind of hot. Good thing it's not facing south at least. Oh wait, no, and it feels kind of hot. Good thing it's not facing south at least, she added. You could put up blinds or something. I pointed at the left side of the room. There's a kitchen over there, so we can have coffee whenever we wanted. And this other room would be perfect for meeting clients. Sachiko turned away from the window and peeked inside the kitchen, then continued to the meeting room. Oh, I see you can enter this room from the corridor, too. There's a small entrance by the staircase leading here. I see. I saw another door at the end of the corridor. What was that? Just a storage room, I think. It's close to the station and has a parking lot. With the shopping street close by, we can even eat out for lunch. Oh yeah, I found a cafe I think you'd like. What do you think? I say this is the best one out of all the ones we've checked today. How much is it? It's pretty cheap. I took a thick stack of documents out of my bag and handed Sachiko one page from it. What do you think? Are you sure there hasn't been a murder in this building or something like that? It's just old! Well, I imagine all sorts of things must have happened here over the years, but does that really matter to us? Sachiko continued silently pacing back and forth between the empty rooms. She tried knocking on some of the walls, listening to the resulting echo. After checking the storage room, we looked around to see what kind of establishments occupied the other floors. It was in the middle of a weekday, though, so everyone was busy working inside. If you want to learn more about the others, I have a file here. I think we can check your papers in that cafe you mentioned. That's a good idea! We went to the cafe. Once there, we looked over the rest of the papers we had. Sachiko paid the most attention to the building's design, both exterior and interior, as well as its expenses. I was more swayed by the ease of transport and the nearby stores. We looked over a couple of other places after that, but didn't find anything better. It wasn't perfect, but it met all of our primary requirements. It was dark by the time we returned home. We had dinner downtown on our way back, so I went to take a bath right away. As I returned, I spotted Sachiko having a conversation on the phone in the living room. I sat down on the sofa and picked up the remote control. However, I saw Sachiko shaking her head from the corner of my eye. I placed the remote control back and instead picked up the travel pamphlet from the table. Eventually, Sachiko finished her phone call and came over to me. She looked down at me, smiling in the middle of the sitting in the middle of the two-seater sofa. I returned her look and patted my knees. Her eyes narrowed. Feast your eyes upon the ultra-deluxe Takako sofa! Sachiko finally gave up and sat down in between my legs. Aww. These two are so cute. What was that phone call about? It was the head of the sales department from our old place. He called to tell me about our retirement bonus. Will it include paid vacation time? It won't. Darn! And I worked so hard too. Thanks to that, we won't be running out of money anytime soon. But we've got taxes next year, right? I wonder if it's gonna be okay. I've already calculated that. It's gonna be okay. Well, if you had worked a little harder, we'd have more leeway, though. Hey, now. Any more in that engineering department would have killed me. But the blame lies with sales and not engineering, right? Their manager accepted projects with no regard for the already packed schedules of the staff. That sucked too, but the worst part was how our manager decided we didn't need weekends anymore and made insane overtime a part the daily routine on top of that. But you got paid, didn't you? It allowed us to advance with our plan ahead of schedule. It was just like she said. Our goals were to go independent and travel around the world, and we managed to achieve both a few years earlier than expected. With the future looking bright, our past hurdles felt like a pleasant memory. I added more strength into my embrace and hugged Sachiko tighter from behind. Have you decided where you want to go yet? Oh no, wait. Whoops, have you decided where you want to go yet? Sachiko considered the pamphlet we got from the tourism agency. I thought about it, but I feel that your suggestion about going to the sea, somewhere far in the south, sounds like the best option so far. It's summer over there right now, isn't it? I wanted to experience that at least once. Right? And speaking of new experiences, you can't fire guns or go skydiving in here, so there's that too. I leafed through the pamphlet from behind. That doesn't sound too bad. We spent some time talking about travel, imagining skies and seas that we'd never be able to see from our native land. Sachiko turned on the TV after we finished. She flipped through a few channels until we were on the evening news. The announcer was talking about the economy or something. Looks like our economy is doing well. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it. Some businesswomen were being interviewed on the screen right now. What kind of office do you want to run? Sachiko asked. A place where we can all talk about the future. That doesn't sound too bad, Sachiko said after a brief pause. Oh no. That's gonna make me cry. The cuties and dreaming of their futures. That probably never happened. Well, I mean, the owning the business and stuff. Maybe. We don't know that yet. Oh wait, yeah we do. Yeah, I think Takako was there for a short while. But still. I realized it was a dream as soon as I opened my eyes. I glanced at the clock in the dimly lit room. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Mayuko was sleeping next to me in silence. I was thinking with my eyes closed before falling asleep, so I wasn't sure how long I'd been out for. I still felt kind of sleepy. It was too early to wake up. I closed my eyes again. The contents of my dream naturally flashed through my mind's eye again. I realized what I had lost after finishing reading that diary. The past me never worried about things like this. I was able to deal with everything a lot better than I could now. I knew that Sachiko had my back even if I screwed up. It never felt like a big deal, or that big of a deal for me to leave my hometown, and it didn't bother me to give up on my job. Similarly, I didn't worry too much about the feasibility of us establishing our new office. I just drew what I wanted to, and Sachiko would color it for me. It was all so easy. A lot of things become easy when you share them with someone you trust. I thought about my Yuko, or who was now on the other side of my eyelids. I had no words to express just how much happier my life would have been if Sachiko hadn't vanished from it. If only my Yuko was Sachiko. But I loved my Yuko for who she was too. If I was her, I wouldn't want someone to love me because I looked like someone else. It was either Mayuko or Sachiko lying beside me, and there was no in between. I considered if I had any tools to confirm it. I couldn't find anything, no matter how many times I read through the notebook. All I had was that image of Sachiko in the dark cave. I felt like that place held all the answers. I had to go to that room one more time. Just the thought of it made my blood run cold. And I had no guarantees I'd be able to make it back this time. Oh no, is that how Takako died? Chapter 8. The Sea and the Old Anchored Ship. An achievement unlocked! Labyrinth! I'm actually crying! I found a gravel roundabout outside the station. At its corner, there was a parking lot with a 3-door car parked under a big tree and broad leaves. It was the car I used before coming here. The moss green car's form reminded me of a Civic from the 60s or 70s, but its front was more curved than it should have been. It was an old thing I didn't even know the exact brand of, and could be hell to control at times, but I appreciated it as a car that was mine and mine alone. After circling around the car to the driver's seat, I took the key from my jacket's pocket and unlocked the door so I could get inside. After confirming the position of the seat, I turned the ignition key. Feeling the vibration of the engine, I turned the wooden handle and stepped on the gas, proceeding to drive out of the rotary. The sunlight from the blue sky fell directly on my face as I changed directions. I grabbed a pair of sunglasses from the passenger compartment and put them on. I changed gears, then flipped the radio switch a few times as I reached the wooded mountain path. I still couldn't hear anything through the rattling of the car, so I turned up the volume. I continued down the long road along the sea after reaching the town at the foot of the mountain. The scenery slowly changed from suburbs with impressive western mansions to more urban restaurants and cafes as I drove closer to the center of the town. Finding a hotel sign, I parked the car at a nearby parking lot. I knocked on the booth by the parking lot and handed the keys to a middle-aged man watching a game of soccer inside. I spotted a park with a locomotive exhibit in the center as I left the parking lot, a bunch of children playing on its roof. I glanced at the hotel sign one more time, then continued down to the shopping district through the park's southern exit. I passed by a loud pachinko parlor that reeked of tobacco smoke and turned the corner by a clothes store to find 3 cheap hotels lined up next to each other. From the signs in front of them, it seemed like they all cost about the same. I chose the one in the middle, seeing how it advertised its offering of hot springs, and passed through the automatic glass doors to reach the counter. Moments after pushing the bell on the counter, a young man in a suit emerged from the door on the other side. "Welcome!" "Hello, I'd like to book a room for 2 nights." The man fiddled with the machine behind the counter. There were 2 empty piercing holes in his right ear. "We have available rooms on the 2nd and 4th floors. Is there a particular floor you would prefer?" "Either would be fine." "Understood." Wait. Do you have a room facing the mountains?" The man shifted his gaze to the machine again. "Yes, on the 4th floor." "I'll take that one then." "Understood." Would you prefer Eastern or Western food for dinner?" I glanced at the clock on the wall and saw it was around 7 o'clock. "I'll eat out tonight." I took my wallet out and left all of my bags in the room before going to the shopping district. I continued down a road covered by a huge arched roof. Through some of its glass panels, I could see the gray sky looming above. The store in front of me had its shutters down. There was a picture painted on it. A child in a straw hat, holding an insect net, was running around in a green field. There was a yellow car behind him. There were all sorts of establishments around every corner, but most of them had notices posted on their entrance that stated they were closed for the holidays. I continued down the road, all the while inspecting the many closed shutters, and reached the end of the shopping district after only a few minutes of walking. There was a breakwater a bit further from the arched roof ahead. Where the arched roof ended, sorry. The breeze coming from the other side brought the scent of the sea to my nostrils. I looked around and entered a cafe at the edge of the shopping district. A lone old man with his white hair combed back from the forehead stood in the empty establishment. He wore a well-ironed white shirt and a black apron. "What will you be ordering?" the old man asked. While I was hesitating, he picked up a menu and handed it to me. "You could choose from original, American, espresso, Viennese, and ice." Do you call ice Recco in these parts?" "The younger generation no longer does." "I see. Would you like to order ice?" "The original, please." Oh, I once saw a waiter making coffee from an instant pack when I ordered ice at a cafe. That was the last time I ever ordered it. The establishment might have kept proper blends for ice orders, but there was no way of telling without asking them. I could have inquired about the difference between preparing ice and original blends, but that would have made it awkward if I decided to order something else. Most of my acquaintances might have considered me a person who voiced whatever was on her mind without reservation, but I actually took deliberate care to think things through before speaking up. "One original. Understood," the old man mumbled, almost as if he was talking to himself. "Do you have any newspapers here?" "We do. It's behind that pot." He pointed at the potted plant on the side of the counter. I circled around it to find a well-hidden newspaper stand. It had several newspapers of various dates, with the newest one being on top. I randomly picked one up and returned to the counter. The bubbly sound of the coffee being siphoned reached my ears as I opened the newspaper. I checked the column located in the corner of the page. It was a piece complaining about what some politicians said or did. I flipped over to the economics section and read the article with a large picture attached. Then I skimmed through a few more pages and... "Here you are, the blend you have ordered." "Thanks." I pushed the newspaper aside to let the old man place my cup of coffee on the counter. I picked up the cup with one hand, took a sip, and placed it back on the saucer. A plastic sheet covered the counter. There was a black and white picture of a steamboat on the other side of it. I also spotted a model of Titanic further beyond the counter. I rolled up the newspaper. "Is the port nearby?" "It's right outside the shopping district." "I see. Thanks." Are you one of them tourists? Yeah, something like that, I guess. I came here to visit my friend, I added. Last I heard, a ship could be heading this way soon. You can see countless ships in the port. I'm talking about a really huge thing, like this model you've got there. Or whoops, I'm talking about a really huge thing, like this model you've got there. I pointed at the Titanic behind the counter. The old man closed one of his eyes. You want to see a ship like that? Yeah, sure. An unusual wish coming from a young girl like you? Really? We've got planes these days. Only my old geezer friends ever talk about ships anymore. Hey, it's not like I'm an actual ship enthusiast or anything either. The old man stepped out of the counter and picked up a thin hardcover book from the rack where I got the newspaper earlier. He placed it on the counter and opened it up on a color picture depicting a ship. But that is actually all the time that I have for this episode. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!